A very good morning to one and all. This is Dr. Jyotirmay, consultant gynecologist and fertility specialist from Avira Hospital. So today we are going to have an overview about gestational diabetes mellitus. So gestational diabetes mellitus is any level of impaired glucose intolerance during pregnancy and beyond 24 weeks of gestation. We call it as a gestational diabetes mellitus. So if there is a glucose intolerance before 24 weeks, we call it as overt diabetes mellitus. So we are having other two terms also, like if the patient is having already diabetes mellitus before pregnancy, either it might be type 1 or type 2. We call it as pregnancy complicating type 1 and type 2 diabetes mellitus. So why a woman who is not diabetic before pregnancy should have this impaired glucose tolerance during pregnancy? That is because of the hormones which are secreted by the placenta, like progesterone, cortisol, estrogen and progesterone, and human chorionic somatotropin hormones. So these hormones, they cause the insulin resistance among the female. Because of this insulin resistance, the glucose levels in the blood levels rises. So these increased glucose levels, these will be transported even to the baby via placenta. And in the baby, these increased glucose levels, this will be leading to hyperinsulinemia and other metabolic disorders, and even it leads to the acidosis in the baby. How we are going to test this glucose intolerance among women? We are having different types of tests. So most commonly followed tests are the one single step test and two step test. So in the single step test, the patient will be coming to us in the fasting levels, and the fasting blood sugar levels are checked, and she'll be given 75 grams of glucose. And after taking this 75 grams of glucose in 250 to 350 ml of water, after 1 hour we'll be taking the venous sample, and after 2 hours we'll be taking the venous sample. So the cutoff points for this glucose intolerance are: the fasting should be less than 92, and the first hour should be less than 180, and the second hour should be less than 153. So among these three parameters, if any one value is abnormal, we term it as a gestational diabetes mellitus. And the other thing is, other test is a two-step method. In that, the patient will be giving the patient 50 grams of glucose in 250 ml of water, irrespective of the fasting levels, and the venous sample will be drawn. And if after 1 hour, if the venous sample value is more than 140 grams per deciliter, then we'll be going for the tolerance test. In the tolerance test, here we'll be giving 100 grams of glucose in 250 to 350 ml of water, and the fasting venous sample is taken. First hour, second hour and third hour venous samples are taken. So among these four values, if any two are abnormal, we term it as a gestational diabetes mellitus. But in our Indian society, the patient cannot be coming in the fasting levels. So irrespective of the fasting levels, in India, we are going for the DIPSI method. In this DIPSI method, irrespective of the fasting levels, the patient will be given 75 grams of glucose, and single value, that is after 2 hours, the venous sample is taken. And if it is more than or equal to 140, we term it as a gestational diabetes mellitus. So this is not only the screening method but also diagnostic. So it is recommended among Indians to follow this DIPSI method. And so if the values are abnormal, so what could be done? So if the values are abnormal, the first thing which we do is the medical nutritional therapy. In this medical nutritional therapy, we advise the patient how many calories to be taken in a day. So that how many calories to be taken in a day will be calculated based on the pre-pregnancy BMI. So based on the pre-pregnancy BMI and how many calories to be taken. So if the patient is, if the patient is underweight, or if the patient is normal BMI, if the patient is having overweight or obese. So based on that, if the patient is underweight, she'll be recommended like 35 kilocalories per kg per day. And if it is a normal BMI, it will be like 30 kilocalories per kg per day. And if the patient is overweight, 25 kilocalories per kg per day. And if the patient is like obese, 20 kilocalories per kg per day. These are the recommended amount of calories per day. So how we are going to divide these kilocalories in a day? So the patient will be advised to take 3 major meals and 3 minor meals. So in this 3 major meals will be included breakfast, lunch and dinner. And in the minor meals, the meals to be taken in between the breakfast and lunch and dinner, and after dinner. So 2/3 will be taken as a major meal and 1/3 of the kilocalories will be taken as a minor meal. So among this breakfast, it will be included like 2 idlis with one cup of coconut chutney or any one dosa. Preferably it might be pesarattu. So apart from along with this, the patient can take even boiled eggs also. And in the lunch, to be included one handful of cup of rice or one chapati with a full bowl of vegetables like salads, which including cucumber salad or tomato salad, and one cup of dal. Even she can have the buttermilk also. And for the dinner, to be included other two chapatis or pulkas with less oil and one cup of buttermilk with some curry, vegetable curries. So the food to be given during this medical nutritional therapy are green leafy vegetables which are rich in antioxidants, which are having major amount of macro and micronutrients. This should be encouraged. Along with that, they can have all type of vegetables, and the vegetables to be excluded are potatoes, beetroot, carrot, all the bulbs which are growing underground, which are having more storage of this starch and everything. Those should be avoided. And the fruits which can be taken by the patients during the minor meals are the fruits to be avoided are mangoes, sapota, watermelon, bananas, which are having the high glycemic index. What is this high glycemic index? So whenever they take this food, the glucose levels in the blood suddenly shoots up. So such food to be avoided during this medical nutritional therapy. So for how long we can give this medical nutritional therapy is that? So we'll be giving this medical nutritional therapy for 1 to 2 weeks. And after that, again we'll be rechecking whether the glucose levels are under control or not. So what should be the target? The fasting should be like less than 95 mg per deciliter, and the first hour should be less than 140 and the second hour should be less than 120. So this is the target. If it is, if the sugar levels are under control, with this medical nutritional therapy, we can continue the medical nutrition therapy throughout the pregnancy. But if the glucose levels are not under the control, then we have to go for the adjuvants like tablet metformin, which is safe in pregnancy, but the long-term effects are under trial, and or else we can go for the insulin injection, insulin. So why there is a strict monitoring of these glucose levels among the women? Because these glucose levels which are deranged might lead to some complications in the mother and also to the fetus. So what are the maternal complications? So the maternal complications during the antepartum period are the patient is prone for the retinopathy, peripheral neuropathy, nephropathy, and apart from that she might be having polyhydramnios. And during the intrapartum period there are like malpresentations and prolonged labor and even PPROM, preterm deliveries, and she is more prone for the cesarean section. During the postpartum period and in the babies, she is more prone for the infections, and in the babies are more prone for the hypoglycemia, hypocalcemia, hypomagnesemia, even acidosis, and even respiratory distress. Even the babies might have hypertrophy of the cardiac muscle. So these are the complications in the babies because of the impaired glucose levels in the mother. So that's the reason we are going for the strict monitoring of these glucose levels. And apart from that, if the mother is having this diabetes before 20 weeks of gestation, there are chances of the baby having the congenital defects also, like neural tube defects. The baby might be having sacral agenesis, which is most common during the diabetes mellitus, and even the spina bifida, even the anencephaly, hydrocephalus, and the heart defects like the ventricular and atrial septal defects. So these are the complications, these are the congenital complications seen in the babies. These are the complications during the pregnancy and in the babies. If the mother is having diabetes before pregnancy, so what are the precautions to be taken? If she's diabetic before pregnancy, her HbA1c levels should be under strict control, that should be less than 6.5. And if the mother is also having hypertension along with diabetes, and if she is taking any antihypertensives, those antihypertensives to be converted. Like if she is on any AC inhibitors or ARBs, those should be converted to the beta blockers. And if she is on any oral hypoglycemic agents, those should be converted to the insulin. And pre-genetic counseling is also required for the mother, and strict retinal screening and renal screening to be done before she becoming the pregnant. So these are the points regarding the gestational diabetes mellitus and the precautions to be taken before conceiving who is already diabetic. Thank you.